this regular season, Justin Herbert threw just 3 interceptions and 504 passes, yet he tossed a career-high 4 picks in just 32 passes in the wild card loss to the Texans. The 4 INTs were most by a Chargers QB since Stan Humphries in the 1995 AFC wild card. Okay, obviously, football is secondary when we're watching everything that's happening right now in LA with all these fires just ripping apart people's houses. The situation must have affected the Chargers this week. So how big of an impact do you think it made in this one?
Yeah, I think it had a very large impact. And Kara, I go back to when I was playing, and as a player, and I think most former guys would reiterate this, is you get in this bubble, this world where all of a sudden, you know, all that matters is your football team. And you're not really paying attention to anything else. Hey, you play on Sunday, you fly home, you take care of the body, you watch the film, you wake up on your off day on Tuesday, you're still in the facility, you're doing players-only meetings. Wednesday, you're there all day, Thursday. And it becomes like, hey, this is the most important thing in the world, and it's fun. I'm not trying to sound like there's a ton of work. It's fun, it's great, it's unbelievable. But then all of a sudden, something like this happens, and you realize, you know, how little football really matters in the grand scheme of life. And I can't imagine what it's like to be a player in LA. Even if you weren't personally affected where you were living, the amount of people, I mean, I had people from Seattle reaching out being like, hey, I know you spent some time in LA. Do you know anyone who can rent a house? My father-in-law's house burned down. Like, I can guarantee you that people either playing or working in the building had immediate family members that were, you know, were affected by this. Your whole family is uprooted for the week. You practice wherever. The film's different. It just is one of those things where you can't help but for a second take yourself out of this bubble you're in and realize, like, hey, there's bigger things in football going on in the world.
And all you hear is that these athletes, when you have a big game like this, you need to be singularly focused and getting your mind right. It's very difficult to do that when you're adding on to this mental load with everything going on in LA. All right, Justin Herbert, he had 3 picks all season long. He had 4 in this one today. Herbert still looking for that first playoff win. What is missing in his game that he just can't seem to?
Yeah, I think today, you know, is just a bad apple. He's obviously can play a lot better than he did today. I don't think that's an accurate representation of who he is as a quarterback. But what I'd say is, what you didn't see today either, is that the man never really seems to make those hero plays. You know, whether it's with his feet, off schedule, and you look at some of the stuff today, this is just a bad decision. You're throwing across your body. I understand that was, you know, when you game plan, that was the throw, but it wasn't there. Throw it away. And then you got a little rattled. You airmail this one. I think it was one of those things where they were in complete control, and then all of a sudden you're down and you start pressing a bit. And the Disley one here is not on him. But, Kara, back to Herbert, I think what scares me is, and I get distracted, when Will Anderson comes untouched, that's also on the quarterback.
Yes.
We got a protection issue. He was banged up all day. But I think what I would say, you know, is preventing him from being talked about in that next level is making those special plays. You know, you look at Lamar tonight. He didn't have to do it a ton, but we just talked about it. You know, that end of the half, you're like, oh, Lamar's going to take a sack. No, he just makes a sweet play. And how many times has he done that? Josh Allen this year.
Yes.
You know, my mind goes to the 4th and 2 against the Chiefs, game on the line, boom, he makes a sweet play. Patrick Mahomes does it all the time. You know, and it's like you sit here and Herbert has the tools, but he's never really had those moments, and I think that's why he's considered a lot down the depth chart of the quarterback hierarchy than those other 3, and also Joe Burrow.
Sure, that's fair. I want to tip my cap to the Houston Texans because they did win this game, except when you look back at it, yeah, C.J. Stroud became the first Texans quarterback to win 2 playoff games, but he didn't look that great. So how did they get the win when they didn't have his best?
I tip my cap to D'Amico Ryans. I mean, he sits here, and I thought he did a tremendous job coaching this game. He kind of knows C.J. Stroud struggled a bit this year. He's been a bit inaccurate. He has not been consistent. He's had great moments, but certainly not the season he had last year. And it was kind of the same thing today. He had good moments, but he also kind of jammed the team a little bit at times. So what happened defensively? They're all over it. Again, here's that double move pick. Something they thought they could get away with. No, I mean, this thing is absolutely covered. You had sacks left and right. And again, another little slant and go here. We're all over it. Ball's underthrown. Boom, pick. Defensively, you were humming. Now watch this, Kara. Watch this. D'Angelo Ross is going to key off the center. See the long snapper? He moves his head. Boom. That is a telltale sign. I talked about the coaching. Boom. We get a little punt block. Spark the team a bit. There's things like that where I thought the staff really did extremely well. Blocked extra point, and of course then you get a 3rd and 11. We go to our best guy, Nico Collins wins. But look at the time here. 6-0, there's 58 seconds. Second half, we kick another field goal. The situational football was unbelievable. So I sit here and say, DeMeco Ryans has obviously played a ton in this league. He's coached a ton. Like, I should say, unfortunate to play his defenses when he was rumbling as a DC in San Fran. They're always very well coached. He knows what's going on. He knows that he does not have the best team on paper. Today, that's an argument. I think the Chargers are obviously not a top AFC contender, but he's going to come in here. They're going to be very sound situationally. They're going to take advantage of the clock instead of having it hurt them, like we've seen a lot of teams. And then when the moments they need to strike, 3rd and 11 in the red zone, boom, we're going to scheme something up for Nico Collins. We're going to play great defense. We're going to play good fundamentals, and we're going to end up with a win in the divisional round.
Man, I just don't know what to think of these Houston Texans anymore. I had them so high on my chart to start the season, and then they were kind of up and down all year long, and then here we go, like you said, DeMeco Ryans just pulling them through.
Again, I think, and if you watch that back, I think if you get C.J. Stroud a little more accurate, not even to be a Superman, because he made some Superman off-schedule plays.
On broken plays, he was so good.
But just sit back there and be a little more accurate throwing the football on base downs. This team could potentially, I wouldn't say they're going to be a favorite, obviously, but could potentially be a spoiler because their pass defense has been legit all year. It has been very, very solid.
Okay, so not a favorite, but certainly not the bye week that Rex Ryan was predicting. C.J. Stroud improves to 2-0 at home in the postseason, and we have 3 more football games coming your way for you on Sunday as we take a look at our wild card slate for tomorrow. Here are your odds powered by FanDuel. The Broncos are in the playoffs for the first time since winning the Super Bowl in 2016. They're facing the Bills, who had won 10 of 11 before resting some starters the last week of the season. We also have the Packers and Eagles in action. Eagles favored by 4.5 points, and the Commanders and Buccaneers favored by 3. Okay, I think I know when we look at these 3 matchups, which team, because you have been trolling Bills fans in our fantasy football chat all week long. So I think I know which team you're going to pick, but which team do you see as maybe causing an upset here? Is it not who I think?
As much as I would love to pick Denver, that's just for trolling purposes.
Okay.
To me, the biggest likelihood of an upset would be Green Bay. And they got their hands full, but I look at this team and I say, okay, let's look at the matchup of this game. First off, it's outside, and what does Green Bay do well and has done well all year? Play the run. Now they're playing the best runner in the NFL, and yes, they have a great offensive line, but I'll say this. The Packers defense is very used to playing a great offensive line in the team you're seeing right here, the Detroit Lions. The next thing is Josh Jacobs has been great. So there's another matchup where I think it's going to be an outdoor game. Jacobs has been a good runner. Who can win that physical battle up front on both sides of the ball? And I think Green Bay can go toe-to-toe with this team. I really believe that. And then the next question is going to be, can you cover A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith? And I would say, well, Green Bay's also had to see Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison this year. So it's not like they're going to be shocked at that level of talent. Again, I still like Philadelphia to win this game, but I think of the teams that are most likely, if Jordan Love, can really start getting fire, and we've seen it at times.
That's the if.
Yes.
Because Jordan Love can be really good, but he can also be
throw
really
that one
bad.
turnover that all of a sudden jams you. But I really expect this one, Kara, to come down to a 3-point field goal. Hard nose, good January. It's cold in Philadelphia. You got a bell cow in Jacobs. You got the best runner in the league in Saquon. Let's go mano-y-mano, big on big, and see who comes out with a W. That's what I'm expecting.
It's going to be a fun matchup. And, hey, the Green Bay Packers have done this before. They won as a 7th seed just last year in the postseason. They are 1-5, though, against NFC teams. We'll see if they can cause a little upset action.